Hi, if you're not familiar with me, I'm Katie. I'm a D1 goalie right now with the Ottawa Orbit, and this is me reviewing Koochie's D2 game. So going back to the start of this one, you see that there's going to be this passing lane open on the right, and Goodhart's able to kind of seek out that near post shot. And in the middle space, you have that defender kind of weaving his way through, so those are like the three things you're trying to keep track of there. And then looking back at kind of how this goal sneaks in that situation, you do a good job of pushing up, but once you see that like passing threat option and like you've pushed up a little bit, it's good to kind of back into the crease a little bit there. You're still worried about that pass, you're still worried about the near side, and challenging leaves open that like open space for you. So if you kind of fall back into your crease a little bit, it cuts down on some of their options there. The replay also gives a pretty good angle of kind of how much open space you really kind of have on the right there. He doesn't even go for the pass, but that's another really dangerous option. But more importantly, you see all the space kind of behind you that is able to get taken up if you do back up into the crease a little bit. And yeah, it's just like little ways of finding like habits of like noticing when that passing option is coming, sinking back a little bit further, not committing too hard. That'll get you more saves. In this clip of mine isn't the exact same situation, but you see me pushed up on the crease a bit, and as I see that puck going back in the corner, I don't know exactly what will happen to with it, but I do kind of glide back alongside the play because I know that being pushed out too much there is going to open up a lot of my net. In this next clip really quick, you end up getting a perfectly fine save / clear, but you're a little bit jumpy with that dash right there, which is going to run down your stamina and kind of be a little bit more committal than you need. And then going into this next clip, you get a really nice save here, you track the play pretty well, but one thing I wanted to go back and look at was just when you're in this position, there are still a few options. There's no pass really, but he can keep going right, or, a better skater might be able to cut back to that left side, so you do a great job of following up here and tracking the play, but just for future reference, once you start playing against people that deke a little bit wider, you want to watch out for that deke option. Also, you end up kind of far away from your crease there, just something to keep in mind. Then getting into the second goal that goes in here, you do this perfect dash at first, but then you open up a lot of your net with that pass still there, predicting the Goodhart shot, which makes it really easy for them to score. And if you look after this first dash, you're still commanding a lot of the space in the crease in front of the net. You're still covering both of those options. And then once you do this extra dash, it just opens up so much more space where you're still moving to the left. Your body is more than covering the post, which is like, more than necessary. And it makes it a really easy tap in for 44 here. And that's why it's really important to know your windows for reaction times, where you dash before you really need to for a reaction on the shot because the play is still developing, giving him time for that pass. Once again, from this angle, it's a little bit easier to see how much more of the net you're covering once you kind of track the play like this. There's like the little corners on the sides, maybe the pockets above the pad. You dash over a little bit while he's doing that, which is fine, but that second dash is giving 44 almost the whole net to work with, where, like I said, you're covering more than necessary, and that kind of almost panicky feeling reaction opens up way more of the net than necessary. Not to harp on this goal too much, but this moment when you swipe the stick over removes your stick as a tool to stop that pass, which is pretty essential, which comes down to stick positioning, which we can get into later. And then next we have this clear, and these clears and moments like this are the goaltending moments that go beyond just stopping the puck from going in the net. That's still really important. So what we see here is that you're stepping up, and then if you look at the mini map, there's these enemies grouped up on the right and some open space on the left there, and then you have your teammate in front of you here that is also kind of watching you, looking for where the puck's going to go. So you have this kind of like danger zone of where you don't really want to send it, and you have this open space here that your teammate can try and turn up and take, or a light pass to him will kind of give him that possession. But if we go to the clip again, it gets sent straight down. It misses 15 a bit, or maybe that pass could have gotten off to him, but he's kind of on the way back already. It doesn't quite get to him, and the puck goes into their zone. for their possession, when instead if you kind of took up that space near you or tried to hand it off to your teammate closer, it would have kept that possession for you. And the third and final goal, which, this all happens in the first period, is this dash to the left that you do here when you're already in a pretty decent position, and making sure that you're keeping track of that passing option, which you kind of seem to lose here. So if you look, there's Godart's angle here, but you should notice as early as you can this guy pushing up on you. And as the play develops a little bit further, you see him get even more into position for that pass. You have that defender in the way, but it's not a guaranteed stop on the puck. If you see that stick like that there, you should be on just red alert that that's an option. And you're already covering most of the post here. You can dash left if he shoots and still cover it. But you dash early before the shot comes through. He's already kind of picked that spot that he's looking for. He goes for the shot again instead of the pass, which both would have been good options. And instead of letting yourself save that dash as a reaction to the shot, you read it in a more unlikely situation where you're already covering that post and you dash further out, which gives Goodhart about as much of the net as possible, and the passing option there, where you're doing this dash as kind of an impulse of being worried about that shot coming through. But you have to trust your first position and then let the play develop and see how it goes. This next play, I like what you do here. You're guarding that near post there. The puck comes out in front and you push out, which is the right move there. You're a little bit further out than I would typically be, but you do a good job of handling these rebounds. I just want to point out some of the risk involved with the further up you go. You challenge that shot. You have teammates helping you out in the crease, but with those rebounds, it gets really dangerous where you contain that one there, but if it bounces around you there and you're so far out of your crease, it's hard for you to recover and kind of get a save if it gets past you. So you're really investing in that puck staying in front of you, which does work out here, and you get a few nice saves. Something I want to do a quick aside on here is your passive stick positioning, which you kind of keep it flat to the side here, which makes it take a little bit longer to flick it across and just covers a little bit less of the play, where some more active sticking can cut off some of the passes, break off the plays, and just help you track the puck a little bit more, which is something to keep in mind. And here are a few slowed down clips from my game so you can kind of see what I mean by tracking the play with the stick, where it just becomes more of an earlier threat for them, and it helps you just keep better track of where the puck is and where it's going. And in this third clip, you'll also see that it can break up passes much better than, just having your pads in the way would be. And I feel like it's definitely an essential skill for goalies to be as comfortable as possible with their stick movements. And the best way to practice this is to actively be moving your stick and following it in the game instead of just having it to your side. And a little bit later, you actually do a really good job of that kind of flat positioning with your net, where you see that guy in front of you. If he gets the puck, you're in a much better position than you would be if you were just kind of hugging the post and facing left there. A little bit later here, this doesn't end up being a shot, but you are in this position that's a little bit to the side here, and with that threat kind of posing itself out front. About right now is when I would do a tiny dash over to the left a little bit, because if that puck does get across, he has a lot of open net to deal with, and if just like a micro adjustment there will let you cover more of the net. But that's just like a nitpick where it ends up being fine in that situation. And kind of what I mean about that micro adjustment is that in this position, you can do like the double dash, which takes you really far with the slide, just a regular dash, which takes you still a little bit too far, but if you are already kind of crouched like that, you can tap dash and stand straight up, and it'll move you just that small amount to like micro correct for your positioning. And this ties into the next clip that I noticed, where in this position where you're already kind of far to the left, you dash and then you re-crouch, which brings that slide through, which takes you even more out of position. You see that almost immediately after you're dashing back to the right. And it seems like a small thing, but they're really important because you need to just have a little bit more discipline with what dashes you're using, where there you might have just not needed to dash at all, but especially that slide dash takes you way further out, and it uses stamina. You need to use even more stamina to get yourself back over. So there's smaller things that you can do that can use even like zero stamina if you kind of move backwards and reverse steer your way a little bit closer to the post. But a huge thing is just making sure that you're not getting too far out of your crease. You're really kind of keeping that in the back of your mind that you want to maintain near full control of the crease the whole time. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I have here, is just really being careful with when you use your dashes. And real quick, here is a clip that I liked where you dash over just enough to cover your post, you're staying pretty flat with your net, and if that pass does get through, you're in a pretty good spot to stop it. And here's another clearing situation where you have a good amount of free time here to kind of think about where you want to send this. You pick a pretty solid direction, but you want to also keep in mind you have that guy on the left wall, which is not the best option. You're looking for these two people on the right also, which is, pretty wide open there. You see that there's not a lot of challenge on them immediately. But what you end up doing here is you send the puck a little bit high, which one makes it take a little bit longer for it to get there, but also makes it harder of a pass, and you send it a little bit left, which means that the blue skater can kind of push up on that a little bit. What you should notice on the minimap is that there's not really anybody directly in the way, so you can keep that on the ice, and your priority there is making it an easy pass to receive for your teammates instead of trying to do anything too flashy. Another great way to kind of minimize the risk of a play is you can bounce it off the boards a little bit as like an overcorrection to the side if your teammates are covering the boards, where even if you miss your target a little bit, you're erring on the side of safety instead of it veering too far left there and going to the opponents. I wanted to quickly point out that here you do a great job of, after that initial push-up, as the play moves on, kind of falling back into your crease a little bit to cover more of the options, especially that pass, so great work here. Right after this clip, the puck goes into your back corner with their possession, and something that I really advocate for here is using your puck cam to know what the skater's trying to do with the puck there, if he's going behind the net, trying to set it in front as a pass, or trying to take it himself. So if you watch this clip here, you'll see me tracking the puck there, and it just makes your life a little bit easier, having a better read on what's going to happen to the puck. In this play here, I really like how you approach it. I like having your stick out left there, kind of tracking the play. Your dashes follow the play really well. Just all around a really good job. But again, keeping that puck cam when the puck is in the corner, like right there, is kind of a mystery if that puck was going to shoot out or not. So just something to keep in mind. And we get another clear here, and again, you kind of have that tilt back. You see this guy jumping in front of you, see a guy straight in front of you behind him. You still kind of send it that same direction when that bounce off the boards low is probably a lot safer. It really is so important to practice your clears with accuracy and kind of reading the map. Great job getting these saves here though, and moving on to the last segment. And here you do a pretty good job, but you lose your center here. You're off to that side. There's that guy to your left, and it's really dangerous leaving that space open there. I know that it doesn't really go into the puck kind of comes to you, but I just want to make sure that bad habits like that don't get too reinforced and you're still keeping track of where you are in regards to the center of your net. And there might have been other smaller things I could have looked at, but I felt like these are the most important ones to kind of pick apart, so I hope this is helpful and good luck in your next games.